Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now here today we are actually going to be doing something a little bit different on my channel. Now I was very drawn to kitchen witchcraft when I first started finding my path. As I am a mum of two and a housewife, I'm constantly in the kitchen. So being able to put my craft into that every single day is magical for me. So today, considering that Mabon is very close, I think it is on Monday, I decided to share with you my Mabon recipe for mushroom soup and cornbread. Now both of these are very much to do with the festival of Mabon, as it is a harvest festival, and these are very much harvest foods. Everything that goes into this is all about the harvest. Now with kitchen witchery, everything goes kind of, you can charge anything, you can put any intent to any type of recipe. You can charge your drinks that you have in the morning. It goes the same with coffee, like stirring your coffee in a certain way or putting something into a coffee can count as kitchen witchery. Now I just do it every day on a daily basis. I also do things like cleaning products and everything else. So if you guys want to see anything else at all, then please let me know and in the comments down below, and I am more than happy to share my recipes or give you a video tutorial on how to make them. Now just a little disclaimer before we start, I am by far not a professional chef, so I may not cut things in the right way. I may not look as, you know, a professional chef does. And so these are recipes that I have accumulated over different sources, either through kitchen witchery books or just generally online, and then finding different ways of adapting them. So just that little disclaimer of like, some of these are not, the recipes are not my own, and I will link them if they're not. And also I'm not a professional chef, so if you see me cut a finger, that's because I'm not using my knife correctly. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so we are here in my kitchen. I have everything set up here for you, and there's including my little kitchen altar here. Now this is a portable altar that I have here, just with a couple of crystals, my god and goddess candles, and an incense. So I'm going to go ahead and light everything there and just invite anything, any spirits, any god or goddess or any elements that you would like to bring into this space. This is kind of now the time to do it. You can also set up a circle around your kitchen, and that is like not unheard of to do while you're doing kitchen work. Okay, so what we will need for this recipe is, okay, so for this cornbread recipe, you will need 1 kilogram or 2 pounds of strong white bread flour, 60 grams or 2 ounces of butter, 2 tablespoons of sweet corn, 2 teaspoons of sugar. Now the sugar is optional. Now if you would like to have a nice crust on your bread, then add the sugar, but you don't necessarily need to have the sugar in there if you don't want to. 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 small packets of fast action yeast, and then 250 ml or half a pint of cold water, and 250 ml or half a pint of boiling water. Now I've just put a little bit of water into a bowl here just for reference. Okay, so once you've got this, then you just need your bowl, and we're going to put all of our dry ingredients in here first. Now this bowl I've got here is for my mixer. Now you don't necessarily have to use a mixer. You can use a normal bowl and wooden spoon. It is just the same, doesn't really matter, but I've just used a mixer just for ease this time. Okay, so once you have all of your dry ingredients there, we're going to take this spoon and we're going to mix all the dry ingredients together. Now this is a perfect time for you to be able to set your intentions while you are stirring. There's going to be multiple times throughout this bake where you can set your intentions at different points. It is obviously then personal preference. But at the same time, here's the perfect time for you to set any Mabon intentions, any other intentions, any healing, anything along those lines. It's completely up to you. This cornbread is obviously very versatile for that.
Okay, so once that's all done, now it's time for the batter. Okay, so we've got the batter here. So what we're going to do is we're going to rub this in with our fingertips. So just make sure you've washed your hands and anything else along those lines. You're probably going to rub for a good sort of 10 minutes, just until you get it to a very sort of crumbly consistency. So once we have rubbed in the butter and stirred all the dry ingredients, next comes the sweet corn. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sweet corn into this. I did add a tablespoon beforehand and just mixed it in. You can do it that way, or you can add 2 straight away and do it. So then we're going to again stir in the sweet corn, so you can energize the sweet corn, or you can put energy into the sweet corn before you actually put it into the bowl. That's another way of kind of putting your attention into the recipe, or you can again put your intention in at this point. Okay, so once that's done, we're going to move on to the water. So I've got my mixer here already and set up. Now if you're using a bowl, you can, obviously everything's already in the bowl. So I've got it all set up here with the bread mixer. So I'm going to add first of all the cold water. So that's half a pint of cold water. And then half a pint of boiling water. Okay, so once that's all in, I'm going to just put my mixer on. Again, if you have a bowl, this will be the time where you will carry on stirring it until it gets to that doughy consistency. So I'm just going to leave my mixer on here for probably about a couple of 2 or 3 minutes on the lowest setting, just so that we get all the ingredients binded together, and then I will turn it up after that for another couple of minutes, just to make sure that everything's there, all the flour's got from the side of the bowl and everything else. Again, if you were using a wooden bowl, you will carry on doing this until you feel like you have a dough inside the bowl. Now this can obviously take a lot of time to do with a spoon and bowl, but just persevere. You'll get there, you'll have muscles of steel. Okay, so next we are going to then flour the surface. So once you have your dough, and it should look a little bit like this, we're just going to pop it out onto the flour surface, and then we're going to start kneading it. So my little trick here for kneading bread, I did actually find this from a TV show over here in the UK, and that is to use oil. So if you oil your hands beforehand, you won't actually get so sticky when you're actually kneading the dough. So I'm just going to go ahead and oil my hands here now. And once I've done that, I'm going to start kneading the dough. Now, kneading, I don't feel like there's any specific way of doing it. And some people would say that I'm wrong in that sense. But as long as you're stretching the dough and you're stretching the gluten within the bread, that is the main point, and that is how you get a good, nice rise in your bread. So it's all about the stretching and kneading that until you get it to an elasticity consistence. So when I will put my fingers in and it will bounce back. So that is now a good time for me to stop kneading. So what we're going to do is now we're going to leave this. I'm going to put this in a bowl, and we're going to cover it with cling film, and we're going to leave this for about 45 minutes to proof or to rise, and that will be double the size of what that dough is right now. So I've got my bowl here. I'm just going to pop that straight in there. You can like flour or butter the bowl just to make sure that the dough can be released a little bit easier once it's done. But then we're just going to leave that. So then once we've done that, we'll come back to it. So now onto the mushroom soup. So while your bread is proving, this will be a perfect time to start your mushroom soup. So for this recipe, we will need 250 grams or 8 ounces of mushrooms, 1 carrot, 1 white onion, and 600 ml or 1 pint of fresh stock or water. It is completely up to you. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to take a handful of mushrooms just because I'm making a little personal soup today rather than one for the whole family. And we're just going to cut off the stems and cut them up. We are going to use the stems within the soup, but it just makes it a little bit easier to blend later on once we've cut the stalks off and left the heads. So then we're going to take the carrot and we're going to just chop off the head and the tail. Then you're going to just take this whole carrot and you're going to put that into the pot as well with the mushrooms. And then we're just going to take an onion. I've got just a half an onion near here, and we're just going to peel that. No cutting it, no nothing, just taking the head and the top off again, and we're just going to put that straight into the bowl. So once you've put everything in, it should look a little bit like this. I've then filled it up with the water, add my stock cubes into there. So again, you don't have to use the stock cubes. And then I've just added a little bit of salt and pepper in there just for some flavouring. So once we've done with that, you're going to leave this to simmer on the hob for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so once this is simmered for the allotted time, we're going to take it out. It's going to look a little bit something like this. Then we're going to leave this to cool down for roughly about 20 minutes to half an hour, just so it makes it easier to blend. Okay, and then while that is cooling down, you're going to take out your proofed dough, or it should have doubled in rise, like mine has here. And then once we've done that, we're going to flour the surface again, and we're just going to knead it a couple of times just to get some of that air, those air bubbles out of the dough. We don't want too many in there. Then after that, I'm going to get a loaf tray, and you can grease that, and then we'll put the dough inside that afterwards. Okay, so we're just going to pop this dough straight out onto the floured surface. And we're just going to knead that just a couple of times, just sort of getting those air bubbles out. So once you've done that, this is a perfect time also to be able to shape it into any shape that you want to make, be that of sigils or anything along those lines. You could do braids, anything like that. I've got my tin here, so I'm just going to pop my dough in. I'm just going to give it a bit of a squeeze and make sure that it's all in there nicely. And then we're going to leave this again for another 45 minutes, just so that it can rise a little bit more. Okay, so going back to the soup, so now it should all have cooled down. We're just going to take the blender and we're going to give it all a blend up. So depending on the blender that you're using, it shouldn't take too long until it gets to what it looks like here. So just going to transfer this into a bowl. Just for reference here, you can transfer this into a flask or a plastic container just to save for later if you're making this before Mabon. So then we're going to just leave that to the side for a minute while we can continue working on our bread. So after about 45 minutes, as you can see, this is risen again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius. That is in UK degrees Celsius. I am sorry, I don't know what it is for US. So after it's come out, it will look a little bit something like this. So as you can see, this is quite a big bit of bread. Now I am a mum of 2 and a wife, and so this will probably get eaten within about 5 minutes. So that's the reason why I've done something so big. If you don't want to have it that big, you can always put the recipe, like half the recipe down. That's perfectly fine. So now we're going to leave this here for another sort of half an hour just to cool down, just so that make sure that you can eat it. Or you can have it a little bit warmer, and a bit of butter on this is absolutely lovely. Okay, so now we're finished with the soup. We're just going to pop a little bit of coriander on the top of there. And also a little bit of parsley as well. You can add any other herbs to this dish on top, fresh or dried, just to give yourself that little bit of boost magically. Then we're just going to take some double cream that I have here, and we're just going to pour it over the top just to give it that nice little look. You don't have to do this, and there are also alternatives that you can use, i.e. Greek yogurt or anything like that if you are vegan, and it just gives it that little professional look if you want to. So now we've got the soup here, and now we're going to pair it with our bread, and so there you have it. You have a perfect Mabon dinner, lunch, whatever you want to do with it, completely up to you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making this, so I'm just going to go ahead and eat this all up now. So if you did like this video, then please leave a thumbs up and comment down below, just in case you guys would like to see any more of this or any more kitchen witchcraft, anything like this at all, or if there's any other recipes that you would like to see or anything along those lines. I am more than happy to do this. I really enjoy kitchen witchery, so this would be a really fun thing for me to kind of do on the channel. Also, if you would like to see any of my pick a card videos, they are all still on there, and I will still be carrying on doing my pick a card readings. Then please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.